Hi, I'm Jamie Dowswell with Sustainable Aviation Futures, and I'm here today speaking with Nina Marczell from OMV. Welcome, Nina. We're just asking some questions to some of the key participants in the Congress, and I'm really pleased to have you here so we can talk about OMV's strategy in a little bit more depth. But first, could you describe your role with OMV and also share a brief summary of OMV's SAF strategy as well?
Yes, happy to do so. Thanks for having me. I'm responsible at the OMV for industrial sales and marketing. This means it's covering basically the full B2B fuel sales to very different customer segments. And a very important and exciting segment is, of course, the aviation industry. So we are selling at currently 17 airports in Europe, jet fuel, including SAF, to our airline customers.
That's fantastic. And given your role in B2B sales, are you finding a strong demand from your customers for SAF? And how do things differ from, say, what it was like 1 or 2 years ago?
That's a very good question, and I can definitely say we see a lot of interest into SAF, and we also have very good proof points for demand. We are starting producing SAF early in 2022, well ahead of the mandate, well ahead of some of the competitors. And what is good to see is that we have been sold out on our smaller SAF production every single year since then. And this was all voluntary demand, so we see real proof points. On this, what we see since the beginning of 25 is that the voluntary demand has been slowing down a bit. Obviously, the industry airlines have been focusing on getting the mandate right, on being compliant in the market. I'm very confident that this voluntary demand will pick up again towards the end of the year.
That's fantastic, and really good to hear that since 2022 things are still moving along in a great direction. And could you explain some of the strategic objectives behind OMV investing in and including SAF as part of its business strategy?
Yeah, OMV has as a North Star, like the aviation industry, our net zero commitment by 2050. So we want to be net zero carbon emission neutral in 2050. We have very concrete steps on the way to get there. We are working on the reduction of our Scope 1 emissions, which is linked, of course, to our production facilities, and working on the reduction of our Scope 3 emissions. And this is meaning that we will transform our current product portfolio into a much more sustainable one. Part of this is SAF. It's at the core of OMV's strategy. We call it even one of our lighthouses. What we are planning to do is to produce and sell 1.5 million tons of sustainable fuels and chemicals by 2030, and a large portion of this will be SAF.
Fantastic. Great to hear of those plans. And I know OMV has been a very important partner of the Sustainable Aviation Futures Congress since its first edition in 2022. What are some of your key takeaways from the Congress so far?
It's so important to get this huge task of decarbonizing aviation going, to build strategic and transformative partnerships. And these partnerships will be essential to drive innovation, drive the necessary infrastructure development, large-scale investments, and events like the Sustainable Aviation Futures Congress are just the right place to get together, to connect along the whole aviation value chain and get all the resources, all the know-how and all the efforts together to drive this forward and make aviation sustainable in future.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your support.